All right, this 3 o'clock hour continues. Max Olson, theathletic.com, today at 4 o'clock. We're now joined by North Texas football coach Seth Littrell, the Mean Green, and in his time with North Texas, a couple of teams right off the top with 9 wins. The last couple of years, they're trying to turn things back around. Coach Littrell, thanks for your time on Sikkim 365 Radio. Craig Smoak and David Smoak with you. How have you felt about what's gone on so far with your fall workouts leading up to your opener?
I'll tell you what, it's been incredible. Our guys have worked extremely hard. Really feel like our team has a chip on their shoulder and getting back to just grinding and going to work every day. I know our defensively, I know our guys are really excited about our defensive staff, with Coach Bennett and all that group. They've built great relationships, and there's a ton of energy. And so I think just the energy on that side of the ball is tremendous. I think offensively we've gotten a lot better just because of the different things we're seeing in practice and working off with each other. And I think overall as a team, it's just continuing to progress and get a day better. So I'm excited how it's gone so far. We've stayed pretty much healthy. Obviously, there's been a couple injuries here and there, but overall, I've been pleased.
Coach, hopefully next year we won't have to ask questions like this, but I am curious with the difference this year and the build-up to the season versus what we all know last year was like. How much of a difference have you felt in regards to your team and being ready for a season versus what you had to deal with a year ago?
Yeah, coming in this past year, no one knew what to expect, to be honest. Not only at the start of camp and through everything, but just every single week throughout the season. And it wasn't just us; everybody had to deal with it. So it was definitely one of those seasons. It was very challenging to everyone. We're blessed to have had the opportunity to get out there and compete and play. But there's no doubt it's a far different feeling this fall. We've had spring ball. We've come with a great summer. Guys are much better prepared to enter into fall camp in shape, ready to go. And so it's obviously been a lot better, and we're looking forward to hopefully, getting out there, getting after it, and being able to compete week in and week out and keeping our guys safe and healthy.
We have seen teams make decisions this week on their starting quarterback, Baylor, Texas A&M, among others. I know Austin Aune and Jace Reuter have been going at it, quarterback competition. Are you ready? Have you made that decision, or you got a little bit more you need to see?
Well, I'll tell you what, both those guys have done a tremendous job. Jace just been here we've worked with him now for 3 weeks. Very impressed with him coming in, learning our offense and, picking up with that speed and that tempo and being able to make good decisions. He's done a great job. And then obviously Austin's a guy that, played a lot of football this last year and actually started 8 games. So just his experience in this system, both those guys have gotten a lot better. They're continuing to work. They have a great relationship along with our entire quarterback room. I think that room's great. Coach Joseph does a great job with that group. They're all pulling for each other. They're competing against each other, and they're helping each other out. So I think we have a pretty good idea what direction we're going for game one. There's no doubt in my mind you'll see both of those guys at some point. But we're still not ready to name it, but we're there. I think we have a pretty good understanding of what's going to happen.
Well, it seems like whoever takes the job, Coach, they're going to have a very stout offensive line in front of them. Dazion Carroll, we covered him at Midway a few years ago. Mm-hmm. And you've also got a special running back in DeAndre Torrey. I do stats every week for the Earl Campbell Award, and I'm looking over all the box scores, and, man, it's like every week there was DeAndre Torrey. How have you seen him grow, and what are your expectations for him behind a veteran offensive line this season?
Well, first off, he's played a lot of ball here. He's a tremendous teammate and has turned into an unbelievable team leader. There's no doubt in my mind with his leadership and the things he works out on the field. It's impressive, and to be honest with you, it shows all the other guys who have not been here as long how to work and how to grind out each day. He sacrifices for his team, and he wants what's best over. He just wants to win. And I'll tell you this: we've done a lot of different things with him from spring now through summer and fall camp. Of just moving him around. He's one of our better playmakers, just trying to get the ball in his hands in a lot of different areas, whether it's out of the backfield, whether it's in the slot, just being able to play around with him. He's really grown on that role. He's probably one of the smarter offensive guys we have. He could honestly go out and play any skill position, maybe other than quarterback. Now, he doesn't want to hear that. But he can play any of the receiver spots. He can play running back. So he's extremely smart and just brings a a tremendous value to our team. But I'll tell you this right now, I know you've covered Dazion for a long time. There's not a man I'm more proud of just from the day he stepped in on campus here and the way he's worked. I'll tell you what, he has had a tremendous fall camp, and I'm really excited to watch him go out and compete this fall as well.
With Torrey, over 3,300 yards of career yards, and with all the things, as you mentioned, all-purpose. Okay, I have to ask this question. You know, Hard Knocks and the Cowboys, and it's whoever in the NFL every year, would Hard Knocks be even more popular if they followed Phil Bennett around to coaches' meetings and practice? Would they be allowed to air that?
I'll tell you this, I haven't watched one episode of Hard Knocks, but I would be a huge fan if they followed Phil around, because not only would it be great football and it would be awesome to, you know, just his wisdom, his knowledge, but it would be comedy as well. I think it would be a little bit of everything. And so you would have some comedy, you'd have some drama, you'd have some action, maybe a little kung fu in there somewhere, a little Jean-Claude Van Damme. You never know. So that's something maybe we have to do.
You know, we had him on last year almost every week on our show on Monday afternoon, so we're not happy that you stole him away from us, but we have had him on a couple of times since. But how did that go about? I know he had to go through some back surgery. He went to Arizona State, and he was semi-retired. Who made the first call, and what was that conversation like?
Well, I definitely made the first call, and to be honest, you know, kind of understanding what I was the ultimate goal was, but kind of talking through initially just his thoughts defensively, not only with our defense and the things he's seen, but also kind of his thoughts on the direction I should go. Just waiting for a time to put it up in the air. Maybe you can come back and get this job done for me. And so there's no doubt in my mind. It was the best recruiting pitch I had all off season. It was my best recruit. I told him that whatever you need to get accomplished for us to get you here and help us win a championship, you know, I'm all in. And so we had a lot of conversations, you know, meeting face to face and really putting pen to paper on, you know, what our needs are as a program, what his needs are to help this defense get back to where it needs to be. And to be honest, you know, once we sit down, and we've had a great relationship over the years, he's always been one of my favorite coaches. The way he can build relationships with his players and his staff has been incredible. But we're extremely blessed to have him. Let's be honest. He doesn't like it when I say this, but I think his first defensive coordinator job was 1981 or 82, and I was born in 1978. So I can actually say he's forgotten more football than I've ever known in my entire life. He's been a head coach. It's a guy that I can really lean on. He has a ton of wisdom, and I'll tell you what, he's an unbelievable person.
Coach, there's some other connections that we kind of have with you, with Jim Gush now joining the staff as well. We got to know him here in Waco, and then Taylor Young at the same time, both as a player and then early on in his coaching career. Just any impressions of those guys so far?
They're ball coaches, and that's what it comes down to. I mean, Jim and Phil have been around each other a long time, and you can really see they're always on the same page. They understand each other's lingo and what they're trying to get accomplished. And the most impressive thing I've seen with our entire defensive staff are guys that, you know, not only have been coached by Phil, but understand, you know, what they're trying to get accomplished. They can pull the rope in the same direction. Everybody's on the same page, which I think is more than half the battle of just understanding, you know, your strengths and weaknesses of your different calls. And look, we all have to be in it together. If guys aren't on the same page, if they're not pulling the rope in the same direction, it's very challenging. And I don't care. You know, X's and O's can be thrown out the door. And so that's why it's a great cohesive unit. They do a great job of working together. And I think this is probably overall the most excited I've been, just because overall as a staff, you know, we have a lot of fun together. We're all pulling the rope in that same direction. We're all helping each other. If we see something defensively we're trying to attack, you know, we're going to go to them and tell them what we're trying to attack, and vice versa. They do a scouting report on our offense. And so it's just great having those guys in the room and everybody having a lot of fun and coaching each other up. And that's, to me, that's what it's all about.
Your father was on the amazing mid-'70s Oklahoma teams with the early years of Barry Switzer, that 75 team that was incredible. You then were a part of the 2000 national championship team when Bob Stoops stunned everybody with that team after they had struggled a little bit in the 90s. What was that like to be a part and continue that lineage?
It was a blessing. You know, that was a childhood dream of mine, and just to be able to follow in my father's footsteps of being able to go to Oklahoma, have an opportunity to play fullback, and hopefully have a chance to compete for a national championship. That's all I heard about growing up, and so that was obviously a huge goal of mine, and it was a blessing. Obviously, God put me in a great situation to be able to do that. But I'll tell you this, don't let it, there's no mistakes about it. My old man always reminds me he has 2 national championships and I only have 1.
Yeah, he just puts up those big rings. Coach Blesh, your offensive coordinator, you mentioned Blake Joseph, the quarterback's coach. There's another connection to Central Texas that both of them once coached at Temple High School as well.
Absolutely.
And so it's not just Bennett and Taylor Young and Jim Gush, but also the connection to Temple High. And they've, of course, had a great run as well. They've kind of just settled right into that position, have they not, together? Does it help because they kind of maybe knew each other a little bit as well?
No doubt, and they're ball coaches. Look, they've coached together, and in college they were roommates at one point. And so obviously they have a very great relationship. And to be honest, that's what it comes down to. I think there's a lot of great coaches out there, but I think, when guys can get in the same room and have the same mindset and be able to communicate with each other and have fun working together, that's half the battle. But they do a tremendous job. I'm fired up about our entire staff, but I think offensively, Coach Blesh is doing an unbelievable job with our offense and our entire offensive staff. Again, we get in there and we grind together, and I think when you have that as a staff, that's when it carries down to your players, and it opens their eyes to understand if we're getting along offensively and defensively, and we're all pulling the rope in the same direction, they're going to do the same thing. And I've also been at places where it can be a little dysfunction, and if there's ever dysfunction within a staff, it's also going to carry down to your players. So it's a blessing. I love working with these guys. We're having a ton of fun, and we're looking to go out there and compete this year.
Seth, one more question, if you don't mind. Coach Bennett, when he arrived at Baylor, they had the dynamic offense. You have the dynamic offense. And I used to say, if they could just learn how to get a stop a half with the offense they had at the time, RG3, then they could probably add 2 to 4 wins to their schedule. I'm not saying that flippantly or any way, but is that just kind of you just need a stop or 2 more?
Well, yeah, and I think you got to match your defense with your offense and vice versa. I think they have to play off each other. And if you're going to be aggressive offensively, I feel like you have to be aggressive defensively. And the thing Phil understands is how we play, and he's been a part of that offense at Baylor. And he understands it's not so much about points; it's really points per possession. It's really how many opportunities, how many stops are you getting a game? What are your yards per gain within a game? And so there's a lot that goes into it, and he understands that. And again, he's seen pretty much everything. He's been a part of different offenses and different defenses, throughout his career, and he understands what it takes to get the ball back and get his stops, and that's what it's all about.
I got to share this text to you on the text line from the guy Shooter TX. Coach Littrell wins the award for Texas college coaches that you don't want to piss off in a dark alley. Dude is
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Yeah, and you wouldn't be in the dark alley. Hey, man, Seth, thank you. We have enjoyed the time. Taylor Young, we know, Jim Gush, Phil Bennett, and the ones we mentioned, the coaches from Temple. Blesh, all of them. Unbelievable. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it, and good luck this season.
Appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Thanks to Taylor Bryan, who's now a part of the University of North Texas athletic communications staff, was at Baylor for a long time during the Matt Rule and the first year under Dave Aranda for setting up Seth Littrell at North Texas.
Yeah, good to talk to Coach Littrell, and definitely we'll be scouring those North Texas box scores every Sunday from here on out, basically. And, when they had Mason Fine a few years back, not that long ago, he was always lighting up the scoreboard, and DeAndre Torrey has been a mainstay for a while now, as we talked about. They've had some great receivers roll through there as well. So there's a lot of potential at North Texas. Denton's a growing city, and got a lot of familiar people out there. So best of luck to all of them. And I know we got to go soon, and